Hi there and welcome to another portion of infotainment. This video counts towards your 5 a day. Fathers of Reddit. In honor of Father's Day, what was your don't tell your mother about this moment? Female coworker of mine was miserable at work one day. I asked her what was wrong. She told me it was her anniversary, and she knew her husband had forgotten. She had preteen girls at home during summer vacation. I knew her home phone number, pre-cell phone era. I called her home phone and one kid picked up. Explained to the kid who I was and that she needed to call dad at work and remind him it was mom and dad's anniversary, and don't tell mom or dad I called. The next day she was all smiles. Gosh, he did remember, brought home flowers and took her to dinner. Mission accomplished. Not a word was ever said about this. Until 6 years later, when she left the company. She gave me a hug at a farewell luncheon, and whispered, "My kids ratted you out. Thank you." One night I was enjoying a small bit of ice cream after my 4-year-old daughter went to bed. She came downstairs and caught me. So I offered her a small bite, but since she was supposed to be in bed, I said don't tell mom. She assured me she wouldn't. My wife wouldn't have cared anyway, but it was a fun little game to play. After she went up to bed and I was down on the couch, she snuck into the master bedroom where mom was resting. She told mom that I had let her have some ice cream, and she was afraid of sugar bugs, so could she please brush her teeth again. My wife just laughed at me the next day. Little crap ratted me out to brush her teeth, something she doesn't like doing anyway. And here I am using Paw Patrol electric toothbrushes and toothpaste and frozen mouthwash to coax them into the bathroom before bed. When I was 12 or so I walked into my dad's office to find him counting money. He says don't tell mom and you'll find out what it's for. So I don't say a thing. 2 days later he wakes me up early to run errands with him. We came back with a new, used, but new for us, car. He also said if I don't tell how much he spent on it he'll let me drive it. It was only a couple $100, but we were broke and she would have been mad. My mother tried so hard to find out, but I kept the secret. So anytime we were in an open space like an empty lot he would let me drive it. I felt like the coolest kid in middle school knowing how to drive a car. Again, don't tell your mother, he says. It was our secret thing and I'll cherish those memories forever. When I got my permit at 16 I was so excited to drive it for real. I asked my mother if I can drive her around when she has to go out, but she says absolutely not since I have no experience. Well, I can't argue because I don't want to get dad in trouble. This goes on for a few weeks. I keep asking, she keeps telling me no. This finally happened one day while dad was home and overheard. He comes in the room, gives me a nod and says to my mother she's a better driver than you anyway, tosses me the keys and tells mom everything. I was so stoked and cheering. I can drive. I can drive. Dad says drive it? No. If you can keep a secret for that long you can keep the car too. 20 years later it's still one of my favorite memories. One night when I was about 8, after I had gone to bed, my dad was playing a Nintendo game, Legend of Zelda I think. We had both been playing it but we were stuck. He finally found a secret passage, paused the game, and came upstairs to wake me up. He told me he figured out where we were stuck, snuck me downstairs in a blanket. I'm sure my mom knew, and I got to stay up after midnight on a school night, hiding under a blanket, to see where the hidden passage went. It was a silly little incident, but very memorable. My dad and I, around 5 years old, were on our way home from a car show when we were getting followed by the cops. My dad struggled to put on his seatbelt quickly in hopes he wouldn't get a ticket. Unfortunately, we got pulled over. This might have been the first time ever that I saw a cop this close up, let alone speak to one. I was a deer in headlights the whole time. Well, with a cop on either side of the car, the officer leaned in and asked my dad why he was swerving. That dick told the cops I was tickling him. The cops looked at me straight in the eyes and asked if this was true. I was too scared to say anything and just nodded yes. The officers smiled and said, "Never to do that again while your father is driving, okay?" They left without any further words and my dad gave me the lecture of don't tell your mom. Not a father but a son. We forgot my passport during vacation and were already at the border station when we noticed. My dad then said that we won't turn back but that he will figure something out. Turns out he smuggled me successfully across 3 border crossings without my passport. Before we arrived at home, he told me not to tell my mom about this. How the hell did he manage that? Stuff you in a suitcase? When my 3-year-old wakes up in the middle of the night, like maybe 3 times a month, Instead of putting her back to sleep, okay, her stay up and partake in whatever it is I'm doing no matter what. Sometimes she falls asleep in minutes and so many times she stays up for a couple hours. I think it's amazing times. I think it may even be dream-like for her by the way she speaks and moves. She has painted with me, heard my books read aloud, watched Lord of the Rings and cooked creme brulee. The rule is, it's my time, so if she's gonna be with me she does what I'm doing just like I do for her all day long. She totally gets it and never makes it about her. My goodness, thank you everybody for your comments and your awards. What a special day to be recognized as a father. My dad did this as well. I'll never forget falling asleep in his lap while we watched Gunsmoke. Dad and I used to rent a movie each week for when Mom had dinner with friends. Usually things like Star Trek or action films. One day, I was about 11, he came home with Blade. We got about 10 minutes in and he turns to me and said, "Don't tell your mother about this, let's just say I forgot to get it this week." Of course I agree. Fast forward 7-ish years, Dad blithely drops at the dinner table the fact that we watched Blade when I was about 11. Silly Dad thought there was some kind of statute of limitations on this. For my dad and one it was cop movies like Last Boy Scout, Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, etc. At the time my mom lost her poop when she found out I was fond of those kind of TV movies cause I'd already seen the theatrical versions Imao. I was in middle school. My father gradually bought computers and monitors for us 4 kids and himself, and the 5 of us would play World of Warcraft together for many days and always log off 1 hour before Mom got home. We'd rush all the chores in that 1 hour. That's when we had teamwork at its finest. She never knew we all played cause she thought it was the devil. I have always worked in restaurants and get home late nights. On Fridays I treat myself to takeout. Not just any takeout, the bad stuff. Cheese fries topped with gyro meat, steak nachos with guac. Always a large, always with a big bottle of beer they sell singly. When my girls were little they would sneak down late at night and we would munch bad food and watch really bad funny movies with all the swear words in. That's really endearing. Not exactly because we were caught in the act, but here we go. When I was 10 years old I was in a head-on car crash with my dad and my little brother. My dad ended up with 2 shattered feet and he was in a wheelchair after getting out of hospital. Now my dad did stereotypical dad things around the house before this happened, and being stuck in a wheelchair was difficult for him. One day while my mom was out it was just the 2 of us in the house. Suddenly I'm being called by my dad to go grab the lawnmower and the strimmer. My dad had decided to cut the grass while in his wheelchair. So 10-year-old me does as she's told and grabs what needs to be grabbed and plus everything in as told. I move what needs to be moved into the garden, but there's one problem, Dad can't get into the garden in his chair. The entrance is just too narrow. So my father, being the reckless and mischievous man that he is, comes up with a plan. He's going to lift himself up using the garden wall. I'm to collapse the chair and move it through and then reopen it so he can sit down. The pressure is on. Little 10-year-old me is ready to go. He gets himself up and we manage it in one try. After that, cutting the grass together was fairly simple, but by this point we'd attracted the attention of the neighbors. My neighbor from across the road was frantic when she saw what we were doing. Husbands from other households were joking my dad was making them look bad. Then, the jig was up. Mom was home. I didn't get into trouble exactly, but Mom never let us live down. When my son was 61 was playing Grand Theft Auto late at night. He wakes up and comes to the living room, tells me he can't sleep, and asks can he watch me play. I say he can, but not to tell his mom. He agrees with a big smile. Maybe after about an hour he is playing and I'm watching and helping him. He can't stop laughing, driving into people and running from the cops. I was telling him to watch out for the 5-0 and he asks me what that means, so I tell him it's the cops. He just shrugs and keeps playing. Now fast forward about a week later and we are all driving in the car. All I hear is a scream of "Dad, watch out, it's the 5-0. And I absolutely start crying from laughing so hard, all while his mother is questioning where he learned that. He just says YouTube. She found out later that I let him play GTA, but I hope the memory of that is as special to him as it is to me. What would have been your answer or question? Leave it in the comments below. Slap that like and subscribe button for more, and check out the link in the video description for even more answers. Peace out, and catch you in the next video.